Okay, so today we are diving deep into Doha, Qatar. And this is a city that I think many of us feel we know.
Right from the travel headlines, the glossy ads.
Exactly. We took a stack of sources from a recent traveler who went in expecting that polished display, the glass towers, the quiet luxury.
But that's not what they found. Or not just what they found.
Not at all. What they found was far more layered, far more grounded, and genuinely far more human than they ever anticipated.
And that's really the core conflict we have to unpack today, isn't it? Doha is, it's undeniably ambitious. It's constantly building, constantly innovating. But our sources immediately cut beneath that surface to find this profound sense of intentionality.
It's a city that's trying to sprint into this tech-heavy future while keeping its feet planted firmly in the desert sand, culturally,
It's
socially.
a fascinating contradiction.
So our mission today is to trace that for you. How does a place manage to be so vertical, so rapidly forward-looking, and yet...
And yet feels so deeply rooted.
Yes. And the interesting thing is, it starts with an immediate physical jolt, a sensory hook that grabs you right as you step off the plane.
It absolutely starts with the environment. The sources open with this brilliant observation about the heat.
The heat, right?
It's this intense, dry heat that isn't just uncomfortable. It makes you immediately aware of the land beneath your feet. You feel the centuries of history, the deep rhythms of the desert.
You feel that history radiating up through the pavement, but then you look up.
And there's the skyline.
Ambitious, vertical, still growing. Every mirrored skyscraper feels like this deliberate, constant conversation with the future. It's an immediate sensory mismatch.
Old land, brand new aspiration. Yeah, that really sets the rhythm for the whole experience.
It does. And what's fascinating is how the sources totally validate that expectation of wealth and polish. You arrive expecting high engineering, and you get it.
Oh, you get it. The exteriors are flawless. Marble lobbies that stretch 50 feet high, highways so spotless they feel like they were built yesterday.
And the supercars. The sources say they genuinely seem to multiply every time a light turns green.
The city is engineered to impress, and it absolutely succeeds on that front.
But, and this is what the traveler observed, those polished surfaces aren't the details that stick with you later.
No,
The sources pivot so quickly to what they call the unguarded moments.
I love that phrase. Because you anticipate the luxury, but what stays with you are these small human interactions that reveal the city's living pulse.
Let's talk about the social landscape then. Those unguarded moments really show the fabric beneath the wealth.
Take the Corniche at dusk. That's a great example from the source. During the day, the city is commerce and structure, but at twilight,
Everything just relaxes.
it does. The traveler described it as this massive communal space. Families are strolling, not with a tourist rush, but with this deep, visible sense of calm and belonging.
And that's where the pride of the residents starts to become visible.
Yes.
The sources mention these surprisingly warm, brief conversations with locals. They're quick to share a story, point out a good restaurant.
It shifts the feeling of the place. It stops being a backdrop of impressive cold architecture and starts feeling like a genuinely vibrant, living city.
And nothing encapsulates that collision of worlds better than Souq Waqif.
Absolutely. This
Yeah.
isn't some historical reconstruction. It's,
Okay.
well, what I mean is, it's tradition in full, loud, messy motion.
The ultimate sensory collision point. That's what it's called. It's so active, so busy.
And loud in a way that feels distinctly real life.
Right. Not staged for a visitor. You're immediately hit by this sensory overload. The smell of dozens of spices mixing with the sweet, smoky scent of oud from the incense sellers.
And the sounds. Sound of genuine bargaining, the clatter of cookware from open-air kitchens, the sheer volume of people.
It's uncurated, vibrant, and just alive. It shows the economy of old Qatar still functioning right at the city's core.
You see the falconry shops, the traditional textiles. It's not just preserved, it's operating.
And then here's the kicker. You take 3 steps out of the narrow paths of the souk.
And you're immediately back.
Immediately. Back among those huge, mirrored buildings, crossing 4-lane roads with perfect pavements.
Doha doesn't ease you in. It doesn't create a gentle historical zone.
No, it lets the old and the new collide right at your feet. It's a deliberate design choice that requires you to adjust.
And that deliberate choice, that intentionality, is what we need to zoom in on next.
Yes, because the traveler noted that getting around was easy and affordable. Ubers were everywhere.
But that wasn't enough for a real deep dive. They felt this intellectual need for guidance, which is a powerful lesson, I think, for anyone trying to grasp a new place quickly.
Exactly. The sources are so clear on this. A guide genuinely elevates the experience.
Because all the most interesting knowledge is just beneath that surface gloss.
The guide isn't just a navigator, they're the translator for the city's complex intentions.
They are there to explain the why. Why are heritage spaces so meticulously preserved, often using traditional materials? It's not just for tourism.
It's about rooting the national identity.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And why do the modern neighborhoods look the way they do? They help you see that the dizzying pace of change is really a strategy for global positioning, for economic survival.
I found the architectural details so insightful. When you're moving that fast, you miss the quiet nods to desert culture.
Well, what kind of things?
Well, a good guide will point out small, strategic choices, like how the geometric designs on a modern facade aren't just decorative. They're updated versions of traditional mashrabiyah screens.
Designed to maximize shade and airflow in that heat.
Precisely. You start to realize nothing is accidental.
And crucially, the guide serves as a necessary cultural bridge. Because navigating any place with deep traditions requires awareness. And in Doha, that structure is very clearly defined.
The guide just takes the guesswork out of important cultural etiquette.
Things like dress expectations, mosque protocols.
Or even just understanding the appropriateness of photography. It's not complicated, but having that guidance lets you relax into the experience.
Because you know you're observing the necessary respect. The traveler said something really interesting here, that this structure isn't a limitation. It defines the experience.
You adjust, you observe, and you learn very quickly that respect is just part of the social contract there.
And that social contract, it extends beyond the official guide too.
Mm.
Look at the traveler's experience with their driver, Junaid.
Right. The source notes, he was raised in Doha, but, and these are their words, was not a local, meaning he would never become a national.
Which instantly reveals this fundamental layer of the social structure.
Yeah.
The huge expatriate community.
And yet, Junaid loved the country. He made sure they visited the Grand Mosque, gave them insights you'd never find in a travel book.
It's a dynamic tension. And that quote from the other driver just sums it all up.
It is very comfortable as long as you obey the rules.
Yes. That defines the whole operational rhythm of daily life there.
And that guidance was valuable everywhere, right? Not just the historical spots.
Right. The source mentions the Souq, but also the Pearl, that massive man-made luxury island, a monument to pure aspiration.
Then you have Education City, which is totally different. That's the intellectual future, a hub of international universities.
And Qatar Cultural Village, a curated space for the arts and heritage.
Without a guide, those are just impressive photo stops.
With one, you get it. You understand the strategic purpose of why a nation invests so heavily in a luxury hub, an intellectual core, and a cultural space, all at the same time. The knowledge just accelerates the appreciation.
It definitely did for the traveler. They ended up spending over 3 hours at the Museum of Islamic Art.
After their guide advice, right. To make it a deep engagement, not a quick stop.
Exactly. And they mention a guide can tailor the whole thing to your interests. Architecture, food, art, even falconry.
Which they noted was worth seeing.
The decision to hire guides for 2 full days, even with cheap Ubers, it really speaks volumes about the value of context.
So if we pull all of these observations together, we come back to that rhythm you mentioned earlier.
Daily life follows a firm set of rules, of expectations. Respect is non-negotiable.
That structure shapes the city, but it doesn't stifle the genuine human experience.
The ultimate synthesis from the traveler is that the contradictions aren't mistakes. They're essential to what makes the city work.
It manages to be strict and profoundly welcoming.
Ambitious and deeply grounded.
Ancient and forward-looking all at once.
It really forces you to rethink your assumptions about how a society can modernize without, compromising its identity.
It sounds like the final, most interesting lesson is psychological.
How so?
The traveler concluded that Doha is better experienced when you just surrender the need to categorize it.
Stop trying to force it into a box.
Exactly. Stop trying to make it either traditional or modern and just let it tell you what it wants you to see. That acceptance of its complexity is where the real insight is.
So we've moved past the initial spectacle of the glass towers to find this complex human heart beating beneath the spotless marble.
A place defined by its self-awareness and its deliberate choices.
And that's the key takeaway for you, I think. Doha's unique identity comes from its willingness to let modernity and tradition collide head-on.
But let's leave you with this final thought to move forward with. Our sources consistently pointed out that the city's structure, its rules and expectations, doesn't limit the human experience. It defines it.
It defines it.
So when you consider your own professional life or any structured environment you're in, think about that. When does structure or discipline or clear boundaries act not as a constraint to push against?
But as the fundamental element that creates quality or identity or a successful outcome,
What does it mean for structure to be a defining force? That's something to chew on.